How much is an overfill? John Mayer gets a thrill, and Silver's running up that hill. Coming up today on The Point.
Qu'est-ce que tu vas me faire? Tu me fais pas peur. Plus de souper avec tes parents.
Hello and welcome to The Point, the only talk show bringing gay and straight men together to see what happens. And while Zaid is away, still under the weather, although he promises me he will be back next week, we have a special guest with us, lead singer of the new band SYLVR, Richard Birch.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
And you're gonna perform your new
Yes.
single later on in the show.
That's right.
Running Up That Hill.
Yes.
But tell us, before we get into other stuff, tell us a little bit about the band, how it came together, what kind of music you do, all that good stuff.
Okay, yeah. Well, SYLVR, kind of an odd spelling, SYLVR. No vowels, except Y is just a sometimes
Y.
Yeah, just a sometimes
It's a
vowel.
bisexual
It's a
letter.
bisexual letter, that's right. Yeah, we've been, about a year ago, Matt Shaw, who's he does all the beats and the music, and I'm the singer. We met about a year ago, and we started discussing putting together some sort of art project with electronic music, just taking it from there. And we've had a few gigs this year. When we're predominantly a cover band, but we like to take a lot of 80s music and put a more modern spin on it, much like the Running Up the Hill that I'm going to do later on today. Yeah, we're in development. We're still trying to figure out what we are, but we've been getting some great response online and with the gigs that we've been playing, and people seem to really dig our sound, so we're really happy about that. I wish he was here today, but
I know,
couldn't
he
make
was
it here
supposed to
today.
be here
He was
with
supposed to be
us,
here,
right?
but he's here in spirit, but I hope you guys enjoy the song.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into
Excited.
that later, but first, talking point number one, counting on it. Okay, so a news anchor in Australia by the name of Brooklyn Ross. So he's on this radio show, you've got like the hosts, and then he's the news anchor. There was a conversation where he admitted, his name is Brooklyn Ross, he's openly gay. In fact, we've got a picture of him here. He's kind of a cutie.
I did it.
The discussion, as radio shows might do, there was a discussion about how many people you've had sex with. And
Oh my God, what did he say?
he said less than 200.
Fair, same. Actually, more.
His co-hosts were shocked.
That's not outrageous for a gay person.
That's total, or that's over like a span of 6 weeks? Or
Well,
what are we talking
I
about?
believe that was
This is a
I believe that was total.
total. Okay.
Total over
Yeah.
or less than 200.
Okay. Yeah.
So what do you think? Is that
That's totally fine.
It doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter, and it's ridiculous that people put any
Why are you trying to slut shame
pressure on
him?
it.
And
It
he's,
could be
no, I'm not
1,000
trying to slut shame him.
It could be
He's
1,000
30 years
people.
old.
It doesn't matter.
He's
who
30
cares?
years old, and of course, like the co-hosts were then doing the math. Well,
We're the same person.
he's 30. You're the same person.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people you've had sex with?
I used to keep a list, but I lost it. But it was like 3 digits.
Wow.
Was it like a flow chart? You had like it all graphed out.
The high time.
Like tournament style of like who the best was.
He had an Excel spreadsheet.
Like peak months of the year.
Yeah. Trending. Yeah.
Do you think? And I wonder, because the co-hosts are straight, he's gay. When I said
It's
that,
crazy to them because straight people don't get as much action because it's harder for them.
Yeah.
is that?
That's true.
There's also a lot more shame associated with straight sex than there is with gay sex,
Well, one of
because
my-
there's like the whole like the whole oppression of gay people, but then within that community, like gay people aren't going to be like, you're gay, that's horrible, you shouldn't be having sex with men. They're going to be like, let's have sex with each other, we're men. Like, you know what I mean? In a way that like straight people, again, it's that sort of religious sort of thing of like, it's for procreation, and Anyway, there's a lot
What
of
were you gonna
oppression.
say?
Well, one of my friends is known to be like a womanizer, and his number, like he was just sort of figuring out, and he was like in the mid 200s, and
Good for
people
him.
people were shocked. They're like, "How's that?" And like people, and like some other girls were just like, "No, I would never be
he
with
really
him
hot?
because he's dirty." He's not, but he's very
there's
charming.
there's some
Yeah, yeah.
misguided idea
Now,
that,
what does that
purity is a virtue. That like, oh, I've only been with 3 people. Like, yeah, so you're probably not very good at what you do in bed. Like, it doesn't. There's nothing
experience.
beneficial to that over being with a lot of people. Like, it's ridiculous.
But I wonder that idea of you're dirty is what does that mean? Does it mean you're dirty because you've slept with a lot of people, or dirty because
Yeah.
you're a gonorrhea petri dish?
I think,
I think it's both. They go
Yeah, yeah.
hand in hand. I'm pretty sure.
Hand in hand?
Hey,
Yeah.
that's right.
or it's all
no,
like
but-
one time.
Well, like
so you
it's
haven't had time to
because you're
shower
more
yet.
likely to have those infections. You know what I mean?
But is it really about health, or is it about slut shaming, or just the fact
It's
that
definitely that.
it's a moral thing? It's not a health thing.
yeah, I think it's both.
For some
Depends.
people, it's both, but when you think about it, people say that because.
But there's also like
that part.
I've heard there's also an allure of like somebody that's slept with that many people. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, she must be good at what they do. So like,
So you wouldn't think she's a slut and you would never touch her?
Absolutely not.
But I think where that comes from too is that there's that idea of like the sort of heterosexual idea of marriage and the tradition of that is that the woman is like the property of the man, and like you don't want like there's like an ownership, and so other people shouldn't have had your property.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's all very archaic and ridiculous.
Well, and musicians sleep
I
around,
think
right?
it's just human nature.
I really couldn't relate to that. I'm sorry. I don't know. So I've heard. I don't know.
Your friends tell you.
My friends tell me, yeah. I mean, my whole take on this whole thing about the number of sex partners is that the initial question that comes to my mind is who's actually being served by such a question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, what are we talking about? I think it's is it really about slut shaming, or is this really about how we relate? We're talking about the regulation of desire here. We're talking about how this relates to society as a whole, as a sexuality, as a construct, or something along the lines. And that's where we have to be very careful, because that's when we can get into real, actual shaming of someone's sexual identity, and that's where it becomes painful. So that's why, this kind of story, it's very interesting, but, I think we really should be asking also the question, maybe that's what we're doing, why are they asking him if this is really that important to him?
And it seems too the other important question is defined by the people who are, if you're in a relationship, how many people are you sleeping with right now? Is it the number of people that we've agreed on, which is just each other, or maybe it's more, depending on what has been set up in that relationship and that dynamic? If it's different than that number, then that might be something to talk about. But if it's your history and all that, it honestly doesn't.
And I think it really is like a heteronormative thing to like scrutinize people's numbers. Like I was just thinking about, there's like a movie out there, isn't there, called like What's Your Number? Like I think it had like Kate Hudson or something like that in it, where she was scrutinized or trying to keep her number down
didn't
because as
see
soon
it,
as
but
it
is
gets
that
to a
what that
certain
is?
point, then you kind of become undesirable or something.
Really?
And that's like that's totally like a hetero thing, right?
Why do you even have
I
to
assume that
disclose
this
your
is just-
number to anybody? Like, who cares?
I assume that was just a romantic comedy where some dude was trying to get her number. I actually.
No,
Does everybody
it's
know
not.
how many people they've slept
Yeah.
with? Does everybody know they're
I mean, I don't know the
I-
number.
me either.
I don't know.
no fucking clue.
I mean,
range.
at one point, a long time ago, I did keep track, but once you get above 10, you kind of lose count.
10.
Again, the important thing
10
is
in
who
one
you're
week.
having sex with at that moment.
Yeah.
That's the one to keep
Absolutely.
track of.
Well, speaking of musicians and this issue, John Mayer.
I heard about this
Good old
story.
John Mayer.
Yeah, he got into a little bit of trouble. He was
Isn't he a douche?
he sat down with a woman by the name of Cassie David, this kind of online Instagram talk show.
Okay.
Beautifully framed.
He always looks hungover.
Always.
They were again talking about how many men he had slept with.
How many men he slept with?
I mean, how many?
What are you talking about?
How many women he
Good
had
for
slept
him.
with?
John Mayer's gay?
Yeah.
How many
for
women
Fred.
he had slept with?
John
What'd he say?
Gayer.
Sorry.
Taylor
so
Swift, Katy Perry.
instructed Cassie David instructed Mayer to blink if he'd slept with more than 800 women. When he maintained a stare, she asked him to do the same if he had slept with more than 500. He still didn't blink, but he joking that it's sad, that it's shocking that he's bedded sub 500 ladies. So just under 500.
Yeah.
That's like I would think maybe more. Well, more for him.
Well, he's saying just under
not
500,
more than
and
he
of course,
says.
the internet exploded. Oh my God,
Yeah.
how awful that
Did it
these-
though? Because this is the first time I'm hearing of this. But maybe I just am not on Instagram.
Girls really
enough. I
like
need to
him.
get
Like
more
girls
on
are
it.
so into him. It's all about the music and like how it makes them feel, and so they just like
But
want him.
isn't all his music based on like romance and like I want to be in a
Yeah.
relationship with you and all this kind of
That's
stuff?
why.
And
Well,
then
but
for him
it's
to like
also-
turn around and just being like, okay, you're done. You need to
Well,
leave.
but he
like,
also
it's kind
said-
of like
Your body is a wonderland, which
Yeah.
is
Then
like
he's got that
Yeah.
song "Daughters."
I'm gonna
whatever.
ride you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, you're gonna be my roller coaster.
yeah.
So what's so
and he
bad
was in
about
relationships.
this?
Was
Well,
it?
I mean, this goes back to what we were saying: is that in the hetero
Yeah.
context, is this scandalous?
Yeah. Well,
for a
I don't care, but
musician.
I
I don't
think
think
for
it
a lot of
is.
people it is. Like they don't understand it, right? Like anytime you hear these big numbers, like when you hear Gene Simmons, I think his
Yeah, it's in the
number was like-
thousands,
yeah, it was in
like
the
3,000 or
thousands. People are like,
4,000.
oh my god.
Yeah,
Like-
but look how
like,
old he is.
Yeah.
And look at his tongue. I mean,
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but it's not like people just went like, oh, okay, yeah, no. People had like a reaction to it. Either they're like, of course, you know, he's Gene Simmons, or they were like, ugh.
Well, John
Right.
Mayer has a reputation of being,
Yeah. Exactly.
you know, kind of.
Didn't he date Taylor Swift and didn't
Yeah.
she write a song about
Katy.
him being
Yeah.
an asshole?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but also Taylor Swift writes a song about everyone being an
Yeah.
asshole that she dates.
But
so.
what if
She's also a douche.
I mean, do we agree that this is ridiculous? That people.
I think a lot of it comes down to as well to, again, this idea of people, society having put this idea of purity out there as a virtue, and that people don't reflect. Honestly, they don't genuinely pull at this thread and think to themselves, what does it really matter? Is it really have any effect on me, on my partner, on our relationship, on how we interact with each other, and they just go along with, well, everyone says that a big number is a bad thing, and they never really think about it. And I think a lot of us have,
they're just not
I'm
as
sort
sexual.
of bringing you into the group here, have thought a little bit more about our sexuality, particularly with this show, and are a lot more open and thoughtful, and have done that exploration, that self-evaluation, and realized that it really doesn't matter, you know. So, but I don't know.
I think as long as there's no cheating in those numbers, then I don't care. Like if I'm gonna start a relationship with somebody and they're like, yeah, I've slept with like 500 people, I'm like, how many of them overlapped? Like, were you in a relationship at any point and then
Because
slept
that's
with
a
other
pattern.
people?
You're trying to
Yes.
find a pattern of how do you
Yes.
treat people.
Are you saying
That's-
you would never date somebody who's cheated on somebody before?
I would be very cautious.
But that has less to do with them having sex with somebody,
Yeah.
and more to do with how they treat people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's almost completely separate from
Yeah.
sexuality.
Yeah.
True. Well, John Mayer, sub 500, which also happens to be Tito's Grindr name. And speaking of which, it's time for Tito's midpoint.
That was a
That was a
good
good
one.
one.
That was
I like
a really
that.
good one.
That was terrible.
No mercy, baby.
This week we're playing Brownie Points, and it has to do with Spanksgiving
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yay.
for y'all Americans.
American.
Thanksgiving was weeks ago, like a
In
month
Canada,
and a half ago.
but American Thanksgiving is now.
So I'm gonna give you some multiple choice options. Got it?
And
have some
there's
follow-up questions.
there's nothing Tito likes better than a good stuffing.
Yeah.
Ah, Fred, you had us. buddy.
Are we gonna do this right off the top? Like, Jesus. Which wild bird was not on the Pilgrim's first Thanksgiving
Turkey.
menu? Was it A, turkey, duck, goose, or bald eagle?
Was not?
Bald eagle.
They did not eat a bald eagle.
Obviously.
No, they wouldn't eat a bald eagle.
How would you catch a bald
Blast.
eagle?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Kill you.
Bald eagle.
Okay.
The Pilgrims celebrated the first Thanksgiving in Herald Square in New York City. Plymouth? Shit, I don't know how to say that. Plymouth, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., or Jamestown, Virginia.
Plymouth. B.
Plymouth, Massachusetts.
That one that I can't pronounce.
Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth.
Yeah, good
What
one,
was
Plymouth.
the name of the Pilgrims' ship? Was it the Pinta, Old Ironsides,
SS Minnow.
the Mayflower, or the Titanic?
Oh, the Mayflower.
No, it was the Titanic.
Did you know they're making a Titanic 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's gonna set sail in 2022.
Awesome.
Oh, I thought you were talking a movie.
That's 100 years. No, 110
It's
years.
4 years.
No one's getting on that burger.
It's 2018 right
No,
now.
I know. I'm thinking of the sinking.
I thought your math was like 2022 is 100 years from now.
It's supposed to follow the same path. Is it not the same
So it's gonna hit an
route?
iceberg and then go down at some point.
Yeah.
Exactly. A friend of mine actually,
Like
who
the
I
path
grew up
is
with,
quite
tweeted that.
different than what they're thinking.
If your name happens to be Molly Brown, do not book a ticket.
But apparently, well, she's unsinkable, so she's the one person who should.
She's the one who should be.
Apparently, though, it will have a lot of modern things like enough lifeboats for everyone and a bunch of other things that'll actually keep it from sinking. But
It still sounds.
I don't think
but
I'd
that's
ever
the
get on
hubris, I suppose, of the original ship too.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Tito, carry on.
And Celine is going to sing on it, right?
God, Celine.
Celine.
The Pilgrims came to America
Yes, they did.
Hey.
for religious freedom, to fight the Indians,
No.
for better weather conditions, or to trade tea for animal furs.
I know you want to trade tea, but
Religious.
it's religious freedom.
Yes, it was religious. freedom, I think.
Religious freedom
Man,
is
we're all very
correct.
knowledgeable about Thanksgiving.
It was a bloodbath, by the way. They did do a
They
lot of
fought
slaughtering, and
Indians
it's
too.
Yeah.
like it is horrible to be celebrating this. We should all be very clear that everyone should not be celebrating
So,
this. Carry on.
you did not celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving.
I ate some turkey
Okay, there you go. Go.
and a bald eagle.
Yeah, you
And
did.
a bald eagle. He ate a ball eagle.
Oh,
That was his name. That was his name.
I don't know if I like that one.
Ball eagle?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Can I friggin' read that?
Sorry, Tito. Go ahead.
The Native American Indians who celebrated the first Thanksgiving dinner with the Pilgrims were from which tribe? What is your problem?
See, what with Native Americans, but you immediately negated it by saying Indians.
Native American Indians. That's what they were called back then.
Okay.
Moving on.
Oh. Cherokee, Mohican, Wampanoag, or Pequot.
I think it's Wampanoag.
You're right.
I am.
Oh.
There
Yes.
you go. Yeah.
They assisted the Pilgrims in their first year and shared the first Thanksgiving dinner with them.
Because I lived in Massachusetts, so I know some of this.
He's a masshole.
History. That's what they're called, massholes.
And an asshole.
JoJo's from there. That's all I know. The meat. What meat?
What meat?
What meat did the Native Americans bring to the first Thanksgiving? Was it deer, turkey, duck, or rabbit?
Deer.
I would think
I would say
turkey.
deer.
Turkey.
I'm gonna say turkey.
No, stupid. It was
Duck.
deer. Venison.
Oh, nice.
Why do we eat venison at
Some of them
Thanksgiving?
So where
went
did the
out
whole turkey
hunting
thing come
and brought back 5 deer to give to the governor, the captain, and others.
I mean, the turkey was, it's native to the
Or is it
Massachusetts
just that
Bay
you can't
Colony,
have, like 200 full deer just in the freezer at the supermarket? So it's like a modern
No, but
equivalent doesn't
turkey
work,
was
so they do it
one
smaller.
of the meats at the
Fair.
So many meats.
So many meats. A sub 500.
Before carrying the Pilgrims to America, the Mayflower was a cruise liner, a passenger ferry, a battleship, or a wine vessel.
I think it was an RSVP cruise line.
It's either
You're
a
wrong.
battleship
think
it's a
or
battleship.
yeah, I'm gonna say that. It's either that or a wine vessel, but I,
I think a
it's
wine vessel.
What was the other one?
It's a wine vessel.
Richard's got it. Well
Lucky
done.
guess.
Nice.
Well, I had the word wine in it, so I was quite happy with
Drawn to it.
Yeah,
Tito's
yeah.
also a wine vessel.
There you go.
I do wine a lot. The turkey is native to America and was first brought to Europe from Massachusetts, Florida, Virginia, or Kentucky.
Massachusetts.
I would.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
They're massholes.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts. Let's just say that.
Florida.
Really?
Florida.
Many
turkeys.
turkeys from Florida.
Oh.
Wow.
To be fair, I
I'm not
actually
very
wasn't
very
listening
good
to
at my
the question.
American history. Unfortunately.
You don't
It's
have
alright.
to
The country's
be.
gonna
Well,
be gone soon anyway.
Yeah.
What event inspired a U.S. president to proclaim Thanksgiving an annual holiday? Was it the 300th anniversary of the Pilgrim's Landing, the bombing of Hiroshima, the Battle of Gettysburg, or the Louisiana Purchase?
Say the
I
Louisiana
want to say
Purchase.
Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Bombing of Hiroshima. Come on.
Only you can say that.
Yeah, if you're gonna celebrate anything, celebrate that. Yeah.
It was the Battle of Gettysburg.
Oh, it was because it was Lincoln.
Lincoln
Yeah.
proclaimed it in 1863.
Somebody do something about all these damn turkeys.
Last one. Which of these U.S. presidents could claim Mayflower ancestry? George Washington, Gerald Ford, George H.W. Bush, or Franklin Pierce?
Washington.
Nope.
Bush.
Pierce.
Franklin.
Bush.
Oh, interesting.
He's a descendant of 2 Mayflower passengers, John Howland and Francis Cook.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
I learned something.
Well, thank
Many
you,
things
Tito,
today.
for today's very festive and informative midpoint. And we will be right back
You're welcome.
with a performance from SYLVR.
Hey.
No mercy, baby.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you wanna feel how it feels? Do you wanna know that it doesn't hurt me? Do you wanna hear about the deal that I'm making? It's you. It's you and me. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God. I get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. Say if only could. You don't wanna hurt me, but see how deep the bullet lies. Unaware, I'm telling you it's thunder. There is thunder in our hearts. Is there so much hate for the ones we love? Well, tell me we both matter, don't we? It's you. It's you and me. It's you and me. We won't be unhappy. If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. I get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. Say if I only could. Come on, baby. Come on, darling. Let me steal this moment from you now. Come on, angel. Come on, darling. Let's exchange the experience. If I were to make a deal with God, get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, I'd be running up that hill, be running up that building. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God. I get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, I'd be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. I get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. Be running up that hill, if I only could. Be running up that hill, if I only could. Be running up that hill, be running up that hill, be running up that hill.
Thank you, Richard, very much. Richard Birch of the band SYLVR. I actually discovered you on Spotify.
Thank you. Oh, did you?
So that's where I found you, but Is that a good place for people to find you?
That's a great place. Apple Music, iTunes, all the main online retailers. We're on there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of iTunes, we're on iTunes.
That's right.
We are available. Get out. We're available as an audio podcast. Check us out on iTunes. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow the red arrows, press the red button, press the bell. Helps us greatly, costs you nothing. Of course, if you really want to help us out, go to our crowdfunding site. That's Patreon, patreon.com/thepointguys. Of course, you can follow us and comment till your heart's content on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Point Guys. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Richard Birch of SYLVR once
Thank you
again.
so much.
Thank you, everybody. We have a new show every Tuesday, so we will see you next Tuesday on The Point.
And